and when they came were to be relished. Hong Kong was crowded and getting even more so. The tide of refugees from mainland China had grown, so had the incidence of babies being born. It was, she thought, as though humanity was attempting to make up for the millions of war dead. Her only regret was that she herself had not conceived. She had the man, and there was no doubting the passion between her and Connor O'Connor. They'd been through a lot together, not least imprisonment during the war, she in Hong Kong and he, ultimately, in Japan, taken there as slave labour. To some extent they'd found the sunny uplands Churchill had promised in the midst of war. There was only one thing they'd so far not achieved and wished for. They deserved the absolute happiness of a child, and had promised themselves that they would marry once she'd conceived. She smiled. It certainly wasn't for the want of trying. Her musings faded when Sister Barbara Kelly poked her head around the screen that served as the door to her office, flashing a dimpled smile. "Cup of tea?" "I would love one." "Ginger biscuit?" "I would love one of those too." Ignoring the raging storm battering at the windows and making the linen screen wobble, they sat on either side of Rowena's battered desk, dipping biscuits into the tea, discussing patience, the way of the world, the many babies being born. They also discussed those abandoned on the doorsteps of churches, police stations, and army barracks. Worst of all were those small bodies found floating in the harbour, bouncing like mangled coconuts between the sampans and junks. The conversation naturally turned to the latest abandoned newborn. "The mother ran like a greyhound. I wonder whether she would have run away if the baby had been a boy." Rowena shrugged. "Less likely, but I do feel for her. No way of limiting family size and condemned for giving birth to a girl child. Who knows? She might have a few daughters already and no boys. People do keep trying for what they really want. Sad, though." Rowena sighed and held her hand to her brow. "Sad indeed. Sometimes I feel totally helpless." Barbara shook her head, the corners of her lips downturned. "It's a very sad state of affairs, but what can we do? And so many reasons. Women with too many mouths to feed. Single women, their reputation's ruined if it becomes common knowledge that they're pregnant, even if they've been raped. Then there are those who miscarry a malformed child." She shrugged. "That's the way it is. There really is nothing we can do about it." Rowena frowned at her teacup and shook her head. At this moment, not much, but who knows what the future holds? Science is continually unlocking more and more of Mother Nature's secrets. Things will change, perhaps not in our lifetime. Barbara regarded the thoughtful look in Rowena's eyes, but found it difficult to read. In a bid to drag her back from her thoughts and get her talking again, she mentioned the details of an abortionist who had been arrested by the Hong Kong police, but released when nobody would come forward to condemn the person concerned. Rowena sighed and unclasped her hands on which she'd been resting her chin. That abortionist was responsible for the deaths of at least 3 women. Whoever does that kind of thing is a criminal. Abortion will always be illegal, and that's the way it should stay. That's what I think anyway. Get married first and all will be well. And if not, be careful. It's the only advice we can give," said Barbara, eyeing the last ginger biscuit, which had obligingly broken into 2 halves. She reached out and took the largest piece. Rowena had known Barbara for only a short time. She found her bouncy and fun, but at times a little dogmatic, even a bit self-righteous. It might not always be that way, and I for one will be glad when a woman can approach her sexuality on the same level as a man, without fear and able to enjoy lovemaking without worrying about an unwanted pregnancy. Men certainly don't. Barbara winced at the stalwart manner in which Rowena stated her case. Finally, she found her voice. "I can't really see things changing that much. I mean, abortion will never be legalized and—" Barbara had the kind of complexion that always looked as though she'd just finished washing it with scented soap and water. It always looked healthy and outdoor fresh and was naturally pink. Even so, Rowena perceived a deeper pinkness seeping over her peaches and cream complexion, and knew she was thinking about available forms of contraception, which at present were mainly the man's prerogative. Most women thought